In this video, I'll give you 5 wide receivers I will never draft in 2024 fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim Coventry of RotoWire. The first player is Davante Adams of the Las Vegas Raiders. And look, I know Adams is still a superstar, but that said, even with an average of 178 targets in his 2 years in Las Vegas, with Derek Carr in 2022, Adams was fine. With Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo last year, not so hot. 1,144 yards and 103 catches, over 170 targets. The quarterback play is a real problem. And the other issue is this. We know the Raiders with Antonio Pierce, their head coach. They want to play defense and they want to run the ball. Think back to that Christmas Day game against the Chiefs when they got out to a lead. Once they had a lead, they barely passed the ball in the second half of that game. If the Raiders even have 5 games like that this season, those could be lost weeks for Adams. Also, they bring in, tight end Brock Bowers. Bowers could see a couple of targets, which would take away possibly from Adams, and Jacoby Myers had a good season. Overall, Adams is 31 years old. He hasn't, in my mind, shown real decline. It's just the situation is very bad, and Adams is being drafted as a borderline wide receiver 1. We would like those players in that range to go for at least 1,250, 1,300 yards. But Adams wasn't close to that last year, and I don't see a scenario in the new situation that happens. The next receiver I'm not going to draft in 24 redraft is Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders. Again, another player, his whole career, he's been money between 1,002 and 1,191 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns in 4 straight seasons. We know he produces, and we know he produces with bad quarterback play. But he's going to turn 29 years old this year. So Terry McLaurin, again, he's not at the point where he's done, but decline is on the way. And I know the Commanders are excited about Jayden Daniels, but I want you to know that Jayden Daniels was a starting college quarterback since 2019 until his huge 2023 season when Jayden Daniels threw 40 touchdowns. Daniels had never thrown more than 17 touchdowns in a season. This to me is a classic case of a man with experience against boys in college with a great situation around him blowing up. I am very concerned that Jayden Daniels is going to be a big struggle at the NFL level. McLaurin, again, there's a floor there, but there are other players in that range of the draft that have a similar floor, but potential for much higher ceiling. We haven't seen the big season from Terry McLaurin yet, and at age 29, I am very, very uncertain that is going to happen at this point. Now, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a free 2-day trial with no credit card needed. You just go to rotowire.com/Jim to see all of our content. The next receiver I'm not drafting in 2024 redraft is Calvin Ridley. I think some people don't realize Ridley's going to be 30 this year already, and there are not a lot of receivers playing at a high level into their 30s. And Calvin Ridley only has 1 season with more than 1,016 yards. So overall, he's had that one great year a long while back, but this has not been a consistently productive receiver. And the fantasy market does have Ridley going ahead of teammate DeAndre Hopkins, but it's very difficult for me to believe that there's a scenario where Hopkins is not the target monster. Ridley may be more of a downfield type player, and I don't think that Will Levis, even though there's the excitement about the new coach coming in, that this offense can support 2 wide receivers. Levis was bad last year. He had that great first game, but he was very ineffective. And even Ridley last year, and I know the coaching wasn't great in Jacksonville, but Ridley had Trevor Lawrence, and Ridley was the lead outside receiver. He had 9 games with single-digit PPR points. Between the team learning a new offense, Levis's second offense in 2 years, Levis may not be a very good quarterback. It is very hard to buy Ridley as the top option in Tennessee in fantasy drafts, again, when DeAndre Hopkins is sitting there. The next player I won't draft in 2024 redraft is Xavier Worthy of the Chiefs. Love the speed. Love what we saw in college last year. However, Xavier Worthy, 5'11", 165. The speed is real. But at 165, how many targets do they really want to give him? And they really should not feature him in the middle of the field. I think Worthy was drafted to help take the top off of defense, occupy safety, open rooms for Travis Kelce. Whenever Rashee Rice is playing, open space for him, and even a complement to speed with Marquise Brown. I don't believe Xavier Worthy is going to have many games with significant targets. There'll be a lot, I believe, 2 target games, 3 target games, and I think that's not enough for the fantasy value that the community is putting on Xavier Worthy. Also in college, we saw that there was an issue in terms of cornerbacks got physical with him. That could be a problem. And he doesn't have a diverse route tree, so there's a real problem there. So we have to be very careful with Xavier Worthy, but I am not drafting him at draft cost. The last player I won't be drafting this year in 2024 is Tyler Lockett of the Seahawks. Lockett's going to be 32 this year, and he did put up 894 yards and 5 touchdowns this year, and that was nice. 16th percentile yards after the catch. And to get all that yardage, Lockett saw 122 targets, the second most of his career, yet it was the second bad season he's had and the worst since 2017. Lockett's a declining player. Jackson Smith-Njigba is a first-round draft pick last year. New coach in town, Ryan Grubb. I expect Lockett to fall to the clear number 3 and a declining player. I think DK Metcalf and Smith-Njigba will dominate the targets. Lockett is going to struggle. Another year of decline. I am completely out on Tyler Lockett.